Hello there, Monstars. Welcome to our next flip video. If I sound a little funny, I'm sorry. I have a cold. So just have to bear with me a little bit. But in this flip video, we are going to be representing data with line plots. So a line plot is a little bit different than a bar graph. Remember in our bar graph, we talked about an X and a Y axis? Well, in a line plot, you're dealing with a line, like, I guess you could say it's only an x-axis. We don't technically call it that, but you're only dealing with a horizontal line, and you're looking at how different numbers are represented multiple times. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in our first slide. So make sure your whisk is ready. Remember on your WSQ that your S stands for a summary, and a summary is a lengthy explanation of the video, not just one sentence. Make sure that you're telling me exactly how you create a line plot and all the pieces involved. All right, on your whisk, I want you to copy down these numbers. Here's the question that students were surveyed. They were asked, how many years have you owned a pet? Now, this isn't in our classroom. This is a different classroom. So how many years have you owned a pet? So here's the number of years we talked about in this column. Have you owned a pet for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years? And here's the results we received. In our second column, 5 students have had a pet for 1 year, 3 students have had a pet for 2 years, and 2 students have had a pet for 3 years. 3 students have had a pet for 4 years. So let's talk about how we represent this on a line plot. So on our line, remember that just like when we were making our line segments when we were doing with in fractions and in estimating numbers, we always start with 0. And you can see that our data goes up to 4 years. So the end of my line segment here will end at 4. What's halfway between 0 and 4? It's 2. Remember, we want to try to make equal parts. So this is representing the number of years we have had our pet. I had to squish it in there a little bit. So that's how we label this line plot, and it also serves as a title. It's the number of years we've had our pet. So when we're calculating and we're showing, actually not calculating, but we're representing this data, when we look back at our data set here, we have no results for 0 years. So we're not going to put anything on top of the 0. But for 1 year, we have 5 students who have owned their pet for 1 year. And how we show that is we make an X for each student. And we stack them on top of each other. So it kind of looks like a bar, like it's going up vertically, but it's a different way of representing that information. So I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 X's because I had 5 students who have had a pet for 1 year. How many students have had a pet for 2 years? You're right, it's 3. So add 3 X's above the 2. And if we keep going, we see that we have 2 students who have had a pet for 3 years. So I'm going to make 2 X's for those 2 students, 1 for each student. And I have 3 students who have had a pet for 4 years. So I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 X's to represent those 3 students. So remember, the parts of our line plot are that we have a number line that shows the numbers we're working with. In this case, it's number of years. And then we use our X's in a vertical row, like on a bar graph, we go vertical, that represent our number of our students. All right, I've given you a new data set. And on this data set, it was another survey where we ask students the number of pets they have. I want you to pause the video, and then I want you to turn this data set into a line plot. Push play when you're ready. Okay, on your line plot, we should have had a number line that began at 0 and ends at 3, because our data set number of pets goes from 1 through 3. We had 3 students that had 1 pet, so we show that by making 3 X's, 1 for each student. We have 4 students that have 2 pets, so we make 4 X's for 2 pets. And then we have 2 students that have 3 pets. So we're going to show that by making an X, 2 X's above 3. What would be the title of our line plot? Yeah, we could say number of pets, or number of pets for each student. Remember, all of our titles don't have to be the same, but our titles have to show what our data represents. So it has to be a title for what the representation of our data. And our joke for this split video is, why did the tiger get kicked out of the restaurant? Why did the tiger get kicked out of the restaurant? So remember to complete your whisk with a complete summary. And our whisk is due on Wednesday. Have a great night, Monstars.